Tisztelt Hölgyeim és Uraim! Üdvözlöm Önöket itt a Kertész Imre Intézetben a Fáradhatatlan, Forradalom, Észak-Korea, Dél-Koreai Szemével című évnyitó rendezvényünkön. Fekete Rajmund vagyok, a mai eseményünk házigazdája, a Kommunizmus Kutatóintézet igazgatója. Engedjék meg, hogy megkülönböztetett tisztelettel köszöntsem Ő Excellenciája Hong Kyudok urat, a Koreai Köztársaság budapesti nagykövetét, korábbi védelmi miniszterhelyettes. Thank you again for being here with us today, His Excellency. Schmidt Mária professzorasszony, Széchenyi díjas történészt, a Kommunizmus Kutatóintézet főigazgatóját, nagykövet urat, illetve minden kedves vendégünket és barátunkat. Hölgyeim és uraim, amikor Kim Jong-un 1984-ben megszületett, abban az évben, ami a világ számára George Orwellnek köszönhetően örökre összekapcsolódott az elnyomással és a totális diktatúrával, a kisfiú nagyapja akkor már 36 éve irányította Észak-Koreát. Ő volt a nagy vezető, a nemzet napfénye, és a mindig diadalmaskodó, brilliáns parancsnok Kim Il-sen. A fiú apját, a megszállott filmrajongó lassan 42. életévébe lépő furcsa kis embert jelölték ki a trón várományosának, hogy a rendszer általa nyerje el a világ első kommunista dinasztiájának kétes dicsőségét. Kim Jong-il lett sok más cím mellett a 21. század vezérlő csillaga, az égiek küldte dicsőséges tábornok. A kedves vezető végül 2011-ben a nagy szellemi és testi megterhelés következtében szívrohamot kapott és meghalt. Az állami televízió bemondónője a csatorna déli különkiadásában könnyek között jelentette be a halálhírt, miközben sietetett megnyugtatni mindenkit, hogy az észak-koreaiaknak nem kell aggódniuk, ugyanis Kim Jong-il fia, a forradalom ügyének nagy örököse, tovább vezeti népét és annak fáradhatatlan forradalmát. Kim Jong-un jellegzetes kefe frizurájával és furcsa öltözékével azonban inkább tűnik egy hollywoodi produkciónak a karikatúrájának, mintsem egy rettegett diktátornak. Ő azonban nem egy vicc, hanem egy többek között nukleáris fegyverekkel rendelkező kommunista diktatúra vezetője, aki hatalomba lépés első napjától kezdve minden, amit tett, gondosan kiszámított volt ahhoz, hogy a totális megfigyelés és terror eszközével fenntartsa a Kim dinasztiát, ezzel pedig csapdában tartva 25 millió észak-koreait. Vallásgyakorlásért jobb esetben kényszermunkatáborba lehet kerülni, ahol becslések szerint 80-120 ezer ember él embertelen körülmények között és raboskodik. Marhahús csempészésért, vagy a Magyarországon is ismert és nagy sikerű Squid Game nézéséért, terjesztéséért, illegális terjesztéséért, akár kivégzés is jár nyilvánosan. Miközben a lakosságot elárasztó propaganda a szocialista boldogok országaként aposztrofálja Észak-Koreát. Ismerősen cseng, ugye? Nekünk magyaroknak ugyanis sajnos volt szerencsénk majd fél évszázadon keresztül építeni a kommunizmust, amely az első pillanattól az utolsóig totális diktatúra volt. Legitimációját Észak-Koreához hasonlóan a terror biztosította. Ahogy Észak-Koreában, úgy a Szovjetunió által megszállt országokban is a kommunista rendszer a kizárólagosságon, az egységesítésen és az igazság monopóliumon alapult. Egy eszme, egy párt, egy ideológia, egy kultúra, egy vezér, egy központ. Tisztelt Hölgyeim és Uraim! Engedjék meg, hogy felkérjem Schmidt Mária professzorasszonyt, Széchenyi díjas történészt, a Kommunizmus Kutatóintézet főigazgatóját, hogy tartsa meg köszöntőjét.
Nagykövet úr, igazgató urak és hölgyek, tisztelt hölgyeim és uraim! Korea messze van tőlünk, és talán felmerül a kérdés, vagy felmerülhet a kérdés, hogy miért mégis olyan fontos a számunkra. Van benne egy kis személyes dolog is, mert voltam Dél-Koreába, és lenyűgözött engem az az ország, nem csak azért, mert rettenetesen kedvesek az emberek ott, és a fővárosban, Szöulban valami olyan nyüzsgő, pezsgő életet tapasztaltam meg, ami talán máshol nem is nagyon lehet. Nem is csak azért, mert egy keresztény ország, ahol a kultúrában is nagyon sok a hasonlóság, hanem azért, mert a tanulmányaim során elsősorban a koreai háborúval kapcsolatban jutott először a tudomásomra az, hogy mi is történt ott Koreában, mi is történt ott 1950 és 53 között. És nem is erről a koreai háborúról szeretnék beszélni, ami hát tananyag mára, és a hidegháború egyik legforróbb összecsapását jelenti, ami az atomháború veszélyét is magával hordozta, és a két bipoláris világ közötti közvetlen összecsapást jelentette, hanem arról szeretnék beszélni, hogy miért olyan fontos a számunkra ez ma. És azért, mert az a háború Koreában 1953-ban a 38. szélességi fok között, ez itt nagyon jól látszik, egy békekötés nélküli tűzszünettel ért véget. És az országot két részre, két egymással szemben álló részre osztották. Hiába van, ahogy nagykövet úr is mondta, 3 határon tenger, Dél-Korea körül mindig csak az északi határa figyelnek. Mert akik az északi határon élnek, azok fenyegetést jelentenek, azok esetleg valami határincidens tudnak provokálni, és valószínűleg, ha Észak-Koreával beszélnék, ők is azt mondanák, hogy számukra az a legfontosabb határ. És most itt van mellettünk az orosz-ukrán háború. És ha szerencsénk van, és ha minden úgy végződik, ahogy szeretnénk, és tűzszünet lesz, akkor a mai helyzet állása szerint a legjobb, amiben reménykedhetünk, a koreai helyzetnek a megismétlése. Vagyis az, hogy lesz ott egy demarkációs vonal, lesz ott egy ideiglenes megállapodás, egy tűzszünet, ahol egymásra ugyanilyen ellenségek fognak nézni, ki tudja, hogy mennyi ideig. És hogy mit jelent egy nemzet számára, mit jelenthet a koreai nemzet számára, hogy 70 éve élnek ezek között a körülmények között. Aki figyelte a davoszi összejövetelt pár nappal ezelőtt, az hallgathatta az új argentin rockstar elnöknek az előadását, aki azt mondta, hogy a kommunizmus mindenhol, ahol bevezették, tragédiához vezetett. Tessék megnézni. Ez a fotó, amit egyébként a nagykövet úrtól kaptam ajándékba, ez a fotó mindennél jobban bizonyítja ezt. Észak-Koreában este ennyi fény van, Dél-Koreában pedig ez. Tehát nagyon is érint minket mindaz, ami Koreában van. Nagyon is érint minket mindaz, ami Koreában történt, mert úgy néz ki, hogy egy hasonló szituációval lesz dolgunk majd, nem is olyan messze a határainktól. Még egyszer mondom, és ez lesz a legjobb megoldás. Mert ez azt jelenti, hogy legalább a frontokon nem fogják egymást 10 000 meg 100 000 számra legyilkolni az oroszok és az ukránok. És van még egy dolog, ami miatt viszont mi vagyunk fontosak Korea számára, és ez pedig az, hogy Koreának, Dél-Koreának készülnie kell arra, hogyha mégis egyesülhet az országok, egy olyan másik résszel fognak együttműködni, kell együttműködniük, kell közös hangot találni, amik teljesen más történelmi tapasztalatokat gyűjtöttek az elmúlt évtizedekben, bizony már generációk óta. És meg kell tanulni tőlünk, hogy mik voltak azok a legnagyobb hibák, amiket mi a rendszerváltoztatás során elkövettünk, amiket nem vettünk figyelembe, amikből tanulni lehet, hogy tudják a saját hasznukra fordítani ezt. És hát persze az, hogy Korea az egyik legnagyobb kereskedelmi partnere Magyarországnak, hogy a gazdasági kapcsolatok nagyon fontosak a számomra, ezt nem kell elmondanom, mert a mai délután az nem erről szól. Tehát nagyon örülök, hogy ilyen sokan vagyunk, és arra kérem, hogy azzal a figyelemmel kövessék nagykövet úrnak az előadásait, hogy ez nem a világnak egy nagyon távoli részén zajló dolog, amiről ő beszél, ez rólunk szól. Ez mi rólunk is szól, meg arról is szól, amilyen helyzetben mi vagyunk. Köszönöm a figyelmet.
Köszönöm, főigazgató asszony. Hogyan értékeljük Kim Jong-un 12 évnyi vezetését? Milyen sikereket ért el, és ezek milyen problémákat eredményeztek az észak-koreaiak számára? Lehetséges lesz a hatalom negyedik generációra történő átörökítése? Hogyan vallott kudarcot a nemzetközi közösség az észak-koreai menekültek megóvását illetően? Miért kell aggódnunk a taktikai nukleáris fegyverek bevetésének a lehetősége miatt? Vajon Észak-Korea miből és hogyan finanszírozza hadseregét és fegyverarzenálját? Dél-Korea pedig hogyan birkózik meg ezekkel a példátlan kihívásokkal? És mindez milyen biztonsági kihívást eredményezhet Magyarország számára, illetve szempontjából? Megtiszteltetés, hogy mindezen kérdésekről ma nagykövet úr, ahogy említettem, korábbi védelmi miniszterhelyettes, elnöki tanácsadó, kutató, professzor emeritus fog beszélni, aki 29 éves szolgálatának elismeréseként 2022-ben megkapta a Koreai Köztársaság szolgálati érdemérmét, és a Koreai Oktatási Minisztérium dicséretében részesült. Nagykövet úr szakmai életútja épp oly különleges, szerteágazó és inspiráló, mint amilyen a személye. És ami talán még ennél is fontosabb nekünk, magyarok számára, hogy Magyarország barátját szólíthatom a színpadra. His Excellency, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I'm very honored and privileged to speak before you. And then, first of all, I must say thank you to, the Director General of the Terror House, Dr. Maria Schmidt. She has been so kind to me. And then I have met her about 6 months ago. But I'm very much impressed, insight and then the vision she provides us. So it is an honor for me to speak, with her assistance. And then also my appreciation also goes to Dr. Fekete, the Raymond. He's kind of a type of the guy, as a perfectionist, and then also they try to leaving no stones unturned. So he checked and again and again and again. So I'm very much impressed the way he deals with his job. And then also, lastly, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, you came all the way through this windy day to meet with me, and then so I'm very much appreciate to you, and then I hope I can do the wonderful presentation to you. But if something wrong with me, that's all my fault. But if it's good enough, that's all thanks to the Maria Schmidt and then also Fekete. All right. So my topic will be why North Korea matters to Hungary, the cost of totalitarianism. Why don't I show you, the picture? This is done, by the Davos Forum. They ended last week. They ended 19th, so the very last week. If you look at the global risks, among the chart. So they are asking, the Davos Forum asked about 1,490 global leaders, including many, politicians and economists and, the scholars. But, interestingly enough, they say in 24, extreme weather is the best one, they're concerned about. And then number 2, AI-generated, information. And then some, political polarization. And then also cost of living crisis. So cyber attacks. We all understand that. But my point today is that if you look at the number 8, the escalation and outbreak of armed conflict, that's a very important one. But only 25% think that's the very important, the dangers or risks for 24. So I try to remind you that was very much underestimated. So, and then also number, the 12, if you see accidental or the intentional nuclear, event, that is, only the 12%, of the respondents say that would be the possible risk. But I think, that it will be very, very, the important dangers we have to face. So topic will be, I try to, the lecture, I'm going to deal with this. So if I just I'll try to deal with the dangers of changing geopolitics, especially related to the Ukraine war and recent Hamas attack, toward Israel, and then North Korea's endeavors to escalate the war by delivering illicit weapons to Russian army in the Ukraine. So I will focus on North Korea's nuclear ambition. And then, as Maria Schmidt just mentioned that, we have to realize that how close we are from the danger. So if you think, that Korea is far away, 8,000 kilometers away from the Central Europe, but, everything is very much connected. So if something happens in the Far East, it will directly impact, the Central Europe, in Hungary. So I try to emphasize that. And then you may wonder why they keep firing missiles, why they develop so many different types of missiles, how much that cost for them, and how they finance the nuclear and missile development. So there's a very important question in international relations. Many scholars ask, why do states behave as they do? So no one may answer it clearly, but however, we need to understand the unique North Korean political system, society, culture, and how it deprives freedom and basic human rights of the people. So, to answer that question, why do North Koreans behave as they do? So then we have to, look into closely. And then I also would like to draw your attention that there exists a Christian community in North Korea. So how can we assist them to keep in their faith in the Lord? So that's what I've tried to say to you. So I'm going to focus on some geopolitics. Many people say that the return of geopolitics, but the professors don't really teach geopolitics in classroom. So the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is reported on TV and the internet every day, is more than enough to shock and frighten us. So maybe next 24th will be the second anniversary already. So the invasion of Ukraine once again reminds us the grim, the reality of the international order in which small and medium-sized countries are sacrificed for security interests of great powers. You probably heard many times about this famous dictum: the strong do what they can, the weak suffer what they must. I like it very much. That was done by Thucydides, at the history of the Peloponnesian War. The principle of international politics, that the powerful sets the rules and the weaker countries only follow them, is already well documented in the history of the Peloponnesian War, written by Greek historian Thucydides 2,500 years ago. So the geopolitics of Northeast Asia that South Korea faces today is just as complicated Hungary as in Central Europe. And then also there is no safe place in the world as the security of Europe is closely connected with the security of the Far East. So historically, Hungary and South Korea have many commonalities and share key lessons of geopolitics. So why don't I go to, probably the geopolitics, what geopolitics means, but this is a textbook. So I'm going to explain to you. Geopolitics is a way of understanding international issues through geographical factors. So it includes not only natural obstacles such as mountain ranges and physical topography, such as linkage in neural network, but also climate, demographics, cultural areas, and access to natural resources. Geopolitics points out that these factors can have a profound impact on many aspects of our civilization, from politics, military strategy, to human social development, encompassing language, education, and religion. So, as a former professor, when I teach, International Politics 101, I use this, slide. So the very famous hypothesis is that, the more borders a country has with the neighboring countries, the more likely it is to become involved in wars, both large and small. So in many textbooks, they give an example of Turkey. So the Turkey has the borders with 7 countries: Bulgaria, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Georgia, and Armenia. They are historically disrupted areas where the cessation of war did not last long. But many people don't know Hungary has similar, same numbers of borders. So I try to take your attention to this issue. So the Hungary has lots of trouble also with bordering countries, so the giant powers next to borders. So if you believe that hypothesis, how about Korea? Is that deviant cases? Because Korea has, if you see the map, only 2 borders, China and then slightly with Russia. So we don't know much about Russia. But anyway, that's why we learn from your experience with Russia. But anyway, also China and Russia borders the Korean peninsula. It is geopolitically unstable and surrounded by the great powers with a marked power gap compared to South Korea. So I would like to tell you that not only the numbers of borders is important. The important thing is power gap. When you border even we have only 2, the neighboring countries, power gap is enormous. So that's another factor. And then the strategic location is very important. The South Korea is located in the pathway between the continental powers and maritime powers. So continental powers try to go to, the Japan, they have to pass through the Korean peninsula. Also, at the same time, if Japan will, challenge the continental powers, they have to pass through the Korea. So the result is that Korea has historically experienced more than 931 invasions from abroad. But, it's a miracle. Like, Sandro Petepi, once mentioned that it's, miracle from God. So we still survive. Anyway, also South Korea had many experiences of caution from foreign powers. 931 invasion, but only 6 voluntary expeditions have occurred. Wow, what are lopsided differences, right? So the public image of the military as a protector against the external aggression and public trust toward the military was relatively lacking. That's our problem. So that's why we try to enhance our military capability of our own and then strengthening the alliance with the United States and maintaining a good relationship with Japan, a plausible alternative for us. So you are always interested in the Ukraine. The Dr. Maria Schmidt just mentioned about that. How are you going to solve this problem? How many of you think that the war will be ended soon? I don't think so. So we better find out a way how to fix the problem. So I'll probably show the lady. Dr. Elizabeth Stanley is now teaching at Georgetown University in the United States. She wrote a very wonderful piece on why Korean War ended lasted for 3 years, more than 3 years, because after the first year everybody's fatigued and fed up. So China lost a great deal, and then also the Russia, and then also the United States and Korea, of course. So and then also the 16 countries participate. They're sending their forces. So every country wants to finish the war quickly, but it won't. So it lasts more than 3 years. The problem is that the last half of the part, the more casualty produced. in the front, the 6 months. So that's why we have to look into closely. So the Elizabeth Stanley thinks that she mentioned about the preference obstacle. So what does she mean by that? The preference obstacle means, the Stalin's at the time, the willingness to continue the war to delay the process of ceasefire. So if I tell the conclusion first, after Stalin passed away, within 2 months, we will make the ceasefire. So that means a lot to us. I'm not a fortune teller, so I can't answer to you how long the Ukraine-Russian war will continue. But there are 4 reasons. Stakes are too high from the point of the Stalin. And then fighting in the war helps leaders stay in power. And then cost of inaction is also higher. But the last part, continuing a war will provide more information about U.S. capability and drain the United States resources. That's the basic reason the Stalin tried to continue the war. So it will probably help us to understand the Ukraine war, Russian war. So somebody do something. So otherwise it will continue forever. So the ceasefire, I think I'm very much appreciate the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Hungary to suggest the instant ceasefire. But that is a necessary condition. That won't help everything. So I'm going to bring another one, my friend Robert Muga's theory of conflict trap. He's the economist, and then he told me that cease over investment for war zone is a necessary condition for avoiding another crisis. What do you mean by that? His study has estimated that an investment of up to 75% of the current level of conflict prevention could save about 300,000 people and $9.8 trillion in 23 countries from the danger of war. So if you go a little bit into detail, as for the countries that went to war, we're hoping 72.6% of the countries fell into a state of war again the following year, very next year. So we have to think about that too. Now we are very busy in arriving at the ceasefire. But after then, what step? What are we going to do? So we have to think about this too. So the countries are often caught in the prolonged and vicious cycles of war and recovery, often unable to escape into a new, more peaceful state. So, if 75% of the additional conflict prevention investment is made compared to now, the cost burden will be overcome by, it's a mistake, 2026. So by 2030, about $200 billion of additional economic benefits are expected worldwide per year. So we have to, to focus on how we can, to save money or to invest for the prevention of conflict after the war. So you have to think first in a ceasefire, but next thing we have to do is, to try to put investment to stabilize the situation. So my government to try to do, some effort to support the people in Ukraine, kind of the humanitarian aid. So in the first year alone, since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, my government has been deploying multi-level humanitarian aid efforts to help the people of Ukraine, about $3 million. But the next year, we doubled the ODA funds. And then also, my government will do its best to expand strategic partnership with the EU and NATO members, countries, and then to solve the new challenges, including Hungary. And then we found that we have maintained the principle that we are not providing lethal weapons to Ukraine. We don't want to escalate the war. But we found that there are many the soldiers are now wounded by the landmine. So we decided to provide the K600 mine cleaning vehicle, and then also those ambulances to carry all the wounded soldiers back to the hospital. So that's what we decided. And then in the winter there is no electricity, no heating at all. So all the housewives and women and elderly and children are suffering. So we decided to provide some the electronic transformer, and then also also the medicines and everything. So that's why we have done the two, because we've been experiencing that kind of suffering, 70 years ago. So, the Korea no longer exists if others are not help us. So during the Korean War, 16 countries sent their forces, troops, and then the 62 countries sent their the material. So otherwise we cannot bounce back. So we realized how important the foreign support is. So that's why we decided to try to bring some humanitarian aid. But how about the DPRK? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. The DPRK has done a lot of the illicit weapons to Ukraine. So if I tell you my government and then the United States and Japan also try to get all the intelligence and then try to use the satellite images, and then we found out that from North Korea to Najin to Hassan, and Hassan to the Siberian Railway to go to Tioresk in the Ukraine. So Russian forces in that places. So how much will that be? 5,600 the cargo trailers. So that includes lots of ammunition and artillery shells and the missiles and everything. So we've been checked already 16 times they delivered all the weapons and the ammunition. So that's very dangerous things. So you have to understand that. And then more dangerous thing is this one. Russia, the December 30th, and then the January 2nd, and then January 6th, and then January 10th, they tried to use, the fired KN-23 ballistic missile toward, Zaporizhzhia. That's the place where the nuclear plant is, located. So very dangerous places, and Kharkiv. So there are many places in the Ukraine that now the Russian forces are using the North Korean made the missile. So that's very dangerous. So this not only has an escalation effect, but also delays the end of the war in Ukraine. So that's I try to emphasize to you. And then the North Korean president, the Kim Jong-un has met with the Vladimir Putin. The September 13th, 2023. So they failed twice already the launching of the spy rocket, but finally third time they succeeded to launch the spy satellite on November 24th, thanks to the technical support from Russia. So we are very much worrying about this. This is done already, but we hope that Russia will not continue to provide more sensitive technology to North Korea, because North Korea expects to transfer re-entry vehicles, re-entry technology, and then altitude adjustment, or SLBM, submarine launched ballistic missile development, or MIRV, the MIRV, independent re-entry vehicle targeting technology from Russia. If those core technologies are spread to North Korea, the possibility of a war in Far East increases significantly. So that's why the risk of increases when the conflict spreading from the Europe to East Asia. This is about a very important moment. So I keep asking my friend in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Here we have the Director General Balinci here with us. And then we ask the Hungary to help us with a large numbers of strategic partners to ask the Russia to stop the trading the weapons or technology to DPRK. And then while the world has been focusing on the Ukraine crisis, North Korea attempted more than 70 missile launches since then. So on December 19th, 2023, last December, North Korea launched Hwasong-18, so-called intercontinental ballistic missile. This is huge, the amount of the crisis we are feeling. So you may wonder why North Korea keep on firing missiles. So there are probably the number one reason is to show off their own ability, capability. And then to obtain the concessions from the United States, not only United States, but from the South Korea or the Japan. And then thirdly, to inspire fear to their own people. The people think that, why we have to, injure ourselves? Because of the threat from the, United States, imperialist countries or South Korea or Japan. But you know that we never intend to invade North Korea. But they have to inspire the fear to their own people. Lastly, to instigate domestic anxiety, which means, that we are having election quickly. I mean, the election is coming around the corner, the April 10th. So, but they try to, to influence the Korean voters because they are framing that peace or war. So if you like peace, you have to, vote for the opposition party. So because, the current government is very much, maintain some hardline policy against, the DPRK. So that kind of thing. Also, the election, this issue is very important because they are expecting to have Donald Trump back to, his, the government, so become the president. Because, as you know, the Kim Jong-un has met him twice already, but he didn't, have a chance to, make him persuaded. So if he became the president, he wishes to have, rendezvous again with him and then try to, get whatever he wants from him. So the last, reason will be, this is very important for North Korea because if they can send, their weapons and munitions to Russia, in return for, they will get some, the crops or the foods and, or the working permits and then monies. So this is an isolated country. They have nothing to sell. But, this is most cheapest one they have, and then they have plenty of. So they try to get the benefit out of the export to Russia. So, the next question is why they find so many different types. This is not all. I mean, they have more than 16, and then now in addition to that, they keep inventing new one. So from the intercontinental missile, from the short-range missile, there are so many different types. So it's unusual for a country like North Korea to develop so different types of variety of missiles. Do you know why? Because they are, trying to fire with some mixed fire. I mean, if you put together everything, we cannot defend them. Do you know how close we are from North Korea? 1 hour drive. So much less than here from how do I say? So Korea is very narrow peninsula. So if they fired with all together, and then in addition to that, they have 16,000 artillery throughout the whole DMZ area. So if they put together with the conventional artilleries and then also missiles, so no matter how we develop ourselves, we can practically defend everything. So that's why they try to develop the variety of numbers of the missile. So my short conclusion is this subsequent provocation can be interpreted as a calculated pattern of behavior to put pressure on the U.S. Biden administration under the confrontational structure between the U.S.-China and U.S.-Russia strategic competition. The continuous development of strategic weapons such as hypersonic missile and the launch of medium-range ballistic missile such as Hwasong-8 are helping to secure internal cohesion, domestic cohesion, but are further sinking North Korea into isolation. That's the problem. So the next question is, how much does it cost? So, in 22, they fired about 63 missiles, but it cost about 560 million altogether. But if you can use that money for buying food, you can buy, the estimate based on the price of the rice and, corn at the Chicago Board of Trade, you can buy enough food for those Korean population annually for the 1 year. So they are wasting for nothing. So that I'm very much worrying about that kind of situation. And then also, if you short-range ballistic missile cost the 3 to 5 million per piece, and then intermediate range is 10 to 15, and then the long-range ICBM costs of 20 to 30 million per each. So for nothing. So if they have enough money, it's okay. But their people are not, they are very much malnourished. Nutrition. But they are spending, lots of money for nothing, waste money. So missile launch is very much related to North Korea economic situation, which has worsened since Kim Jong-un took power, and then economic growth prospects and the external economic environment facing North Korea are actually very serious now. Due to the prolonged COVID crisis, it is difficult for North Korea to enter the overseas labor market, and food situation is getting worse and worse. So North Korea's original plan of ultimately obtaining sanction relief through pressure on the U.S. is extremely unlikely to be realized. As you know, that the U.S. Biden administration has no interest in negotiating with Pyongyang without corresponding measures for denuclearization. So if North Korea concentrates solely on developing strategic weapons, taking advantage of the Ukraine crisis, the intensity of sanctions against North Korea, in which the international community, such as the EU and Australia and many other countries, participate, will gradually increase in addition to individual sanctions by the United States. So the next question will be, where do they find the financial resources? So the North Korea is known to have swindled more than $1 billion in virtual currency from blockchain companies around the world and use it to support ballistic missiles and weapons of mass destruction program. So according to U.S. Rand Institute report, this cost could solve 60% of North Korea's severe food shortage, as I just told you, and create illegal funds through cyber money, coins, and hacking, and use them to develop nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction. So why do they to continue to that? As I just told you, you have to understand the political system of North Korea. So the Dr. Fekete, the Raymond already mentioned to you, the Kim family ruled for over 3 generations from 1948 through today. So, Kim Il-sung has no the public profile. He used to be the army captain appointed by the Russian Soviet army at that time. But he held the full power after the Korean War. And then by 1956, he became the sole position. So he became and then also they start to transform the Marxist-Leninist party into the kind of the family-oriented the system to focus on the Kim Il-sung only. So that's the beginning of the sad story. And then after Kim Il-sung passed away, next step they have done is to try to the powering into the Kim Jong-il. And then Kim Jong-il also failed for health reasons, so he passed away in 2011. And then now the grandson Kim Jong-un became the top of the leader. And then he's now the fully control the military as well as the party. He's now maintaining the chairman of the Supreme Military Commission. So that's the powerhouse. And then he tried to organize the party according to his plan. But the question is the Kim Jong-un still ruling ideologies still based on Kim Il-sung, his grandfather, and then his father, Kim Jong-il. So they always emphasize Juche and the military force of the Kim Jong-il era rather than creating his own. But I can summarize the 4 characteristics of his own, the government. The first thing is the extreme pursuit of nuclear advancement. And then secondly, extreme economic difficulties by isolation and maldistribution of resources. Thirdly, strengthening of the control mechanism and operation system of our people. Finally, aggressive provocations toward the United States as well as Korea and Japan and calling for anti-imperialism and anti-capitalism. So the next question will be, you will be very much interested in, is it possible for you to imagine? They are thinking about the fourth generation succession. So nobody knows, but this lady, the young girl, the 9-year-old, is now emerging as the star general by respectively showing up in the state media. Since November 22nd, she has been showed up 16 times. So all the military, the parade, as well as the Army headquarters, Navy headquarters, the Air Force headquarters. So now, interestingly enough, there are three the professors now studying, analyzing the psychology of Kim Joo-ae. I don't know how come they analyze her the psychic the status, but anyway, the Frederick Coolidge of the University of Colorado and Ian the Robertson from the Trinity College of Ireland, and then Fadia Mokadam from the Georgetown University, they found out that they found her face on narcissism. I don't know how come they found it, but anyway. So the question for the three scholars is that whether she will become the different reader or she will just follow the suit of her father and her grandfather. So the temporary conclusion is that they'll end up with become ruthless the very the readers like the father or grandfather, because she's very much isolated from her own the peer groups, and then she's everybody praising her, and then her almighty capability, something like that. So she will probably never understand the ordinary lives. So anyway, so the Kim Joo-ae, you may very much wonder why they brought up the 9-year-old girl so early. Now I will give you the three reasons. The first is they're going to show the whole world that they were not going to give up nuclear ambition forever. So even his daughter will follow the carry on the duty. And then secondly, they tell everybody in North Korea that the so-called baekdu 혈통, which means their direct siblings or the Kim family only can succeed. So nobody can do that. And then lastly, Kim Jong-un is now the 140 kilograms. He got some the heart problems too. So if something happened, so they're gonna make sure that the transfer of power will be go through smoothly without any challenges. That's why they are doing this. And then I'm gonna introduce the Dr. Ted Robert Girl, his very famous book in 1970s, Why Men Rebel. So according to the Professor Girl, so he thinks the aspiration gap is larger from the people's expectation and between the government's capability towards to provide some the services. That's a very dangerous signal. So if the aspiration gap is getting larger and larger, the growing and growing, that's the kind of the sign for the people to try to challenge the revolt. But in North Korea, they've been suffered enough, 7 decades already. But why why not? Why is revolution impossible? From the revolution from the below is impossible in North Korea, because very brutal press from the government. And then the next question is it more dangerous if the economy develops? But the problem is, if you the red circle in the second, the graph, they try to intentionally put, status in that area. If, the economic growth is low, they don't even think about, the revolt, because, they are barely living themselves. If stomach is full, you have to think, that this system may be not so good for me or my friend. But in that area, they have no way to revolt or think of a different way. So that's why North Korea try to enforce their people, to in that situation. So, but you have in your the school days, you probably read A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. But the Pyongyang is exactly the North Korea life is tale of two cities. Like the Pyongyang is very luxurious. They say Manhattan. I don't know. They really went to Manhattan, New York, but they call themselves the Manhattan, like the beautiful city in Pyongyang. But the other the suburban areas, and then also other the part of the world, they're very horrible. They're very disturbed. So now the very interesting thing is that the year January 15th, the Kim Jong-un took the podium and then tried to announce to the people that they're gonna new plan 20 by 10. Do you know what that means? North Korea has 28 cities, except Pyongyang, capital city. And then they have 172 counties all over the world, North Korea. So he acknowledged that the countryside is too much, the malnutritious, and then also the very, backward. So he acknowledged that. So his new plan is every year to pick up, the 20, the counties, and then they try to put some, build some the facilities and factories, and then try to make the life better by within 10 years. So that kind of the new proposal was made. In a country like North Korea, if he said that, you may imagine how bad the situation will that be. So that's why the Kim Jong-un just announced that the 2010 plan. He announced quickly. About the 2 weeks ago. So if you look at this, the data made by the NGO group called the Walk Free, they are, the North Korea is very much, the country with the forced labor. They have some gulags and then bondage, human trafficking, and child labor, forced military service. So the problem is, it's very much annoying because according to this, the NGO group, the 3.9 million are considered as, the kind of the forced labors. The modern type of slavery, but according to this, the institute, 69% of the 3.9 million are residing in North Korea. So every 1,000 people, they are recording in 104.6. So number one in the whole world. So that really annoying, data made by the one of the Western NGOs. And then also if you read the Rhoda Howard Hassman's, the article in the, written in 2017, about 1.5 million died at the various gulags in North Korea. Among the various reasons, intentional starvation level rationing was the primary cause for those sacrificed. The average working hours in the gulags per day is 16.5 hours. The allowance per day is 250 grams of, the very, very small. So that's very, very, annoying. I try to touch upon the Christian life in North Korea. North Korea was, Pyongyang was called, the Jerusalem of the East, long time ago. But now, they are, all the Christians are Persian since 1958. So there are now only two, the churches, like Bong's Church and Chilgol Church, and then only one, Catholic church is remaining. And then the official records told us that there are Christians about 12,300, and then 20 pastors, and then 513 places for the people to have a prayer. But according to the many, we have many missionaries, working for the underground churches. They say there are about 100 underground churches are there, and then also 300,000, the Christians are living in that country. But we don't know, the clearly about how their lives will be, But they are educated to report the authorities if they found anything suspicious about the Christianity. So this very horrible situation is taking place in. And then also the harsh punishment for those Korean defectors. But the interesting thing is, only 75% of North Korean defectors are all women. So you don't know why, but they are the only one who can escape from from the military services and everything. So now the Chinese government try to, they never recognize them as a refugee. So recently they repatriated 600 people to North Korea. But if they are not back to North Korea, they will be sentenced to the lifetime the prison, or got tortures and very much got suffered severely. So I try to recommend you to watch this documentary. This is nominated for the Oscar for the March 24th. So hopefully it will nominate as the best film. But this is the story made by Madeline Gavin, one of the director, and then the title, The Beyond Utopia. And then this is story for the desperate families to escape from the North Korea to arrive to South Korea through the various countries. So hopefully you can just have the chance to watch this movie. I try to tell you that there are still the notorious prison camps exist in North Korea. So we believe that 5 political prison camps still exist, and then the estimated capacity is 80,000 to 120,000 per each. And then, so what are you going to do? So my government to try to work very hard to, ask North Korea. We call it audacious initiative. So if North Korea stopped developing nuclear weapon and transition to practical denuclearization process, we're going to provide, some foods and everything they need. But they turn us down, so there is no progress at all. So we definitely need your help, and then we need to work closely with our strategic partners in the EU and NATO. And then the South Korean government also expects continued cooperation with Hungary and other European countries in strong condemnation of the North Korean nuclear threat, try to persuade for denuclearization. This is the picture I'd like to show you. December last year, December 10th, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, went to Korea to for his own business. But when he left Korea, he said on the way back from Korea, he said the effective accelerationism he found from the Korean side, and that this what does he mean? The diesel is the decays from the acceleration. So the quite a stark comparison between the North and South. Again, the Elon Musk came to Korea, and then when he left the last day of the 2023, he suggested a very interesting story. He told us that the crazy idea might be, but let's divide the two, and then put one half the capitalism and the other one the communism, and then see what happened in the 70 years ago. You don't need to wait 70 years, so there are huge differences. Anyways, we are working very hard for our brand name of our foreign policy, global pivotal state. So we try to work with many different parts of the world to try to give our the kind of the contribution, and then walk through with your help. And then, the rest of your U.S. News and World Report rates Korea is the sixth most powerful country in the world. So we are not satisfied, but thanks to your help and assistance. And then, the biggest loss for the North Korea is, even though during the past 12 years, they may have a nuclear capability, but the problem is, many of the Americans or the Europeans, they think that the survey tells you the true nature. 82% of white male college graduates cited North Korea as America's greatest enemy. So that really is a great loss for them too. And then, as a friends of brothers advancing together for the future, we look forward to a constructive and hopeful future for Korea and Hungary. And then, we are very much impressed with your way of the foreign policy, particularly Eastern opening. So our policy has many common grounds with you. And then we work very hard to make it a great relationship, bilateral relationship, not satisfied with just good relationship. This is the one I would like to talk to you. I believe the Terror House is the bastion of protecting the spirit of freedom fighters. So we try to build, some kind of the museum on the North Korean human rights, the center. So I strongly believe that the center will model after the Terror House. So that's my the wish. And then finally, I have a couple of reasons, for you to why I have to respect, the Hungarian Terror House and then the Hungarian system. Hungary trains strong freedom fighters. I think, the Terror House effectively and continuously pass on the lessons of failure of communism and totalitarianism to the people. And then secondly, to giving pride to the people. This is very important one. We learn from you. So the cultivating pride and the spirit of challenge as a survivors of repeated external invasions and totalitarian atrocities. Thirdly, promoting respect and remembrance for the victims of totalitarianism. This one we really need, to emulate from yours. So we already forgot many things in the past. And then fourth, if efforts of the Hungarian Ministry of Foreign Affairs to help Christian church, being destroyed and persecuted Christians in conflict areas, I think this is marvelous. And then this deserves, the admiration from the outside of the world. So the gentleman in the picture is, the Secretary General, His Excellency Tristan Azbey. I talked to him. I met him, so I'm very much impressed. But I tried to ask him that don't forget about the Christian, the minority groups living in the North Korea. So we count on you. So you have to, you should not forget about there are, a whole bunch of the Christians living in the North Korea. So if they can come to here, I think that you can provide some, the education, the opportunity. Also, we hope, we will bring many of the North Korean escapes to Hungary to learn from your own experiences. And then we hope South Korea and Hungary will work together with an open attitude by sharing each other's experiences and wisdom to destroy totalitarianism and foster the value of freedom and the proper right in the next generation. So we promise to make sincere efforts on our part. I, always believe that freedom is not free. So we very much appreciate your strong efforts to, build this kind of beautiful tradition to protect your freedom fighters. As a friend of Hungary, so we always wish to work together with you. And, this is my, the presentation. I must stop here. Thank you so much for listening. Mm-hmm.